Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I am a voice teacher. Today I will be reacting to and analyzing Jazmine Sullivan performing Masterpiece, Mona Lisa.
What's up, everybody? It's Jazmine Sullivan here, and you're watching This is R&B Sessions, and you're listening to my song, Masterpiece. Miles ain't used to this race. I'm feeling exposed, but I can't hide no more. I can't hide. As the sun shines on all of my glory, my flaws don't look so bad at all. What was I so afraid of?
I like how much breath sound she's using as a coloring, because when she went to that A, she could have made it a lot bigger, but it wouldn't have fit the phrase, so she just let it have a little bit of breathiness. She's ending a lot of phrases by letting it fade into breath sounds rather than just kind of abruptly cutting off, and it sets up the song really well. This is a very common thing in R&B to use all of that breathy sound. It's a big part of this genre, honestly.
Every part of me is a vision of a portrait of Mona Lisa. Yes, every part of me is beautiful.
You hear a little bit of that vocal fry onset on every. That's another thing that's very popular in pop music and R&B music. So if you are sounding too classical or too musical theater or too trained when you're singing, start playing around with things like that, with just adding a little bit of extra breath or adding on a little vocal fry onset. Is she thinking about adding all of those? No, she just knows what the genre needs. She has so much style built in that now she just needs to emote and it kind of comes out.
Beautiful, and I finally see I'm a work of art, a masterpiece. Oh.
I wonder if she has to have her head up like this. She is tilting her head up slightly, which, I mean, the sounds that she's making are really, really good, but that's one thing to consider if she ever does start having problems. Just make sure that it's not having to be locked into this position. I'd rather have it up like this than down like this, though. Absolutely.
Oh, oh, yeah. Who is this I tried so long to find, filling my head with lies, that I'm not good enough? Then I heard something in my ear tell me I'm perfect. Now that I know the truth, time to show and prove that every part of me is a vision.
So she does have that little flip. Part of me is, where the is comes back down to a more modal voice. I think she could do it connected if she wanted to, but you do hear just that little flippy sound coming back down, which is another thing that's just part of the genre. And while I do think that it's important to be able to have as many connected voices without needing to flip, as connected notes, not voices, as you can without needing to flip. Once you get that down, you have to start playing with all of these other colors in order to be appropriate for the genre. And so I am pretty sure that she'd be capable of doing all of those things just because her voice sounds so easy that I assume that everything that she's doing is a choice. I also love that you can hear so many little mouth noises and weird artifacts because it proves it's live, and I just love hearing all of those little things because it sounds live, and I like hearing live voices that don't have a ton added to them. And I know that you hear a little bit of delay and reverb added to her voice after this was recorded, but it sounds lovely to me.
A portrait of Mona Lisa. Oh. Yeah, every part of me is beautiful.
On that me, she opens her mouth a little bit more vertically. Miss. She doesn't go miss. We need to have space as we start going toward higher notes. And E is a tricky one because a lot of people want to make it E is, and they'll kind of spread to get that space, but it just wrecks the sound. You need to have your jaw able to drop. as you start going toward higher notes. And so in order to get the clarity, instead of it turning to me, because that's not E, the tongue just needs to rocket forward. Me, so you can keep that same space, and that's what she does really well.
And I finally see I'm a work of art, I'm a masterpiece.
Her hands feel a little bit weird to me. I like that she's using her hands and that she seems pretty open with it, but it feels like they keep getting locked into one of these two positions. I think that would be worth looking at if we were going to work on performance technique. That's getting really, really picky, but you still have to get really picky with these people who are awesome performers and awesome singers, because that's how you get better. And I think that's one place that she could take it to the next level.
Now I see the pretty colors on my canvas. I'm a work of art, Mona Lisa. I'll share my pictures with the world. I'm not afraid to let it go anymore. Mona Lisa.
I love those runs. Some of them, she's utilizing these sounds that happen when you're running out of air, and she's doing it because it sounds gritty and awesome. Like, it's really cool, but it's consciously running out of air. Or even if she did have more in the tank, it sounds like she's running out of air. So she is manipulating the amount of air that's getting through and making it just a really, really small amount to kind of get that vocal fry sound out.
Mona Lisa, let my colors paint the sky. There is
It's really cool.
eyes, beauty in my eyes, and I can see it.
It could be that she's getting some of that from this elevated head kind of space. Is it sustainable? I think so. It doesn't feel like she's squeezing or that she's like using any of those really guttural sounds. It just sounds kind of like the filter. And all of these things, like the posture and how she's forming her vowels and the amount of air, they all contribute to that. You can't just isolate one variable and have it not affect every other part of the voice, although it's good to try to.
I believe it now.
I love that. So that time when she went, I think she went down to the C sharp on that note. She went much lower than she has in this song yet. And the fact that she was able to get that really, really low note tells me, yes, that was a choice when she went to that breathy G earlier in the song.
I am beautiful. You should know you are beautiful. We are beautiful.
And then that nice fade out from full voice into a breathier tone or kind of a falsetto-y kind of thing. It works really, really well. And it's important to be able to play between colors and volumes and registers. And that's why register is such a weird term for me, because it's like register isn't something that we try to make happen most of the time. It's something that's just a result. So when she started, was that in a different register as when she ended, when it was that much quieter? Maybe. But was she thinking about trying to put it into each of those different registers? I'm going to start really chesty and do this. I don't think so. I think she was thinking, I'm going to start with this more abrasive sound. I want to end with this more gentle sound. I want to start louder and I want to end quieter. I want to start more clear. I want to end breathier. But if you start reframing what you're asking for of these objective goals that you're looking for, rather than thinking, I'm going to make this start in a belty mix and then I'm going to reduce this and do all of these things. If you get caught in that, you're not going to be emotional. You're not going to be a real artist. You're just going to be in your head. And that's stupid. Don't be in your head like that.
Every part of me is a vision of a portrait of Mona Lisa.
It gets to the point that this is kind of distracting for me, and so yeah, I would love, but that's probably a little bit more of that performance kind of thing where I feel like her voice is just butter and it sounds really, really interesting, but I don't feel her connected to it in the way that I do with some artists in terms of how she's using her body and how she's using her face. Is some of it there? Absolutely. Am I getting extraordinarily picky? Absolutely. But, you know, that's something that you could take that next level of why are you saying each of these words? Does this action make sense in terms of what you're trying to convey? And everyone talks with their hands. So it's like she knows how to use her hands. She knows how to do this, but some of it just feels contrived almost. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws almost.
Yes, every part of me is beautiful, and I finally see I'm a work of art. I'm a masterpiece.
Yeah, so that last note, she does start it a little bit headier, and then she holds on to that heady feeling as she comes back down. But is she thinking about getting stuck in that heady place as she goes down? Or is she thinking, I just want this to be the most delicate little note ever? Probably the latter, because I think that even though it looks like she's not connected to her body, in my opinion, and everyone has opinions, someone else is going to have a totally different opinion. For you, if you're connecting to what she's doing, that's great. More power to you. I didn't connect to what she was doing with her body. If I was closing my eyes, I would probably have a totally different experience with this. And that's fine. That's fine. Not every single performance is going to connect like that on a visual level for everyone. Not every performance is going to connect on an auditory level for everyone. I still recognize how really good she is in my perception. But that's the key, is its perception. And every voice teacher has an aesthetic that they prefer, both in terms of visuals and in terms of sound. And, you know, I think that we need to admit those kind of biases that we have in terms of what kind of sounds we prefer. Because when you are looking to me for advice, if you don't agree with most of my aesthetic that I prefer, that's totally fine. You'll go find some other voice teacher who does have that kind of aesthetic that you're looking for. That's fine. But I think it is important that we admit, you know, ultimately singing is subjective. And while I try to make as much of it objective as I can, ultimately it's gonna be subjective. And that's fine.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and go check out the links in my description. I've got many links that you can click on. Thank you.